Hey everyone, welcome back to a special episode of Travels by Alex. Today I'm going to be spilling all the piping hot tea about a tour company called EF Ultimate Break, which is geared for 18 to 35-year-old travelers interested in seeing the world like you and me. Whether you're craving the vibrant streets of Tokyo, the serene landscapes of Ireland, or the rich history of Europe, EF Ultimate Break offers an array of extraordinary destinations to choose from. And with even more new tours and destinations that were just added, there are limitless possibilities. Having been on 6 tours with EF, I want to share a bit about my travel experiences, guiding you through what to expect from them and how to make the most of your adventure. Stick around for a special promo code you can use to stack up extra savings on top of their already incredible Black Friday sale, which is happening now. But first, I want to lay the groundwork by discussing some key logistics for those of you who may be new to the world of EF Ultimate Break or hearing about them for the first time in this non-sponsored video. EF Ultimate Break is a tour company for 18 to 35-year-olds. They have tours all over the world and currently have over 125 itineraries to choose from. Isn't that awesome? And the best part is they are hassle-free tours, which means you don't have to worry about planning anything. Just pay for your trip, show up on the first day, and everything will be prepared for you. It's pretty cool, and I do highly recommend it if you are somebody who is new to the world of EF Ultimate Break and are wondering if this is the right company for you to travel with. And the best part is, whether you are a solo traveler or going with friends, family, siblings, significant others, these tours are great for all types of travelers, so long as you fit the 18 to 35 age range. So you're probably wondering what's included and what's not included in the price of your trip package. Well, let's start first with what's included. Round-trip flights, unless you opt out and book your own, hotel accommodations, an experienced tour director and local guides, private coach bus, metro passes, transportation between cities, welcome and goodbye dinners, and tickets to popular attractions. And in terms of what's not included, we're looking at optional excursions, most lunches and dinners, rooming upgrades in case you want a single room, gratuities, and trip protection, just to name a few. Now that we've talked a little bit about what's included and not included in your trip package, let's jump into the itineraries that you may be expecting. EF has itineraries all over the world, so I think the first and most important thing is to think about what kind of trip do you want. Are you interested in doing a themed trip for like Oktoberfest or New Year's? Or are you interested in doing something that's a city experience where you spend maybe 5 days in one city of one country? Or maybe you're a little bit more adventurous and want to visit a few different countries during your tour, or maybe exploring one country but many cities within it. As you can see, there's definitely a lot of options to choose from, so my recommendation would be to first check out the EF Ultimate Break website and take a look at their destinations. You can even filter based on how short or long you want a trip to be and see what comes up in the search option. What I also really like about EF's tour itineraries is that you usually get one free day per city you visit. So for example, if you're doing the London, Paris, Rome tour, you will get a free day in London, Paris, and Rome to do whatever it is that you want. So feel free to roam around or go to a museum or enjoy all that delicious gelato or climb the Eiffel Tower or even visit the London Eye. There are just so many possibilities regardless of which country or city you're visiting, because you'll definitely be able to at least have one full day to yourself in each city. And I really like that because for someone like me, when I went to Japan, I can't tell you the list of things I wanted to do, but that's why I actually planned a trip when I came a few days early, which I'll jump into later in this video. But for my free day in Tokyo, for example, I went to the Studio Ghibli Museum because I'm a huge fan of Ghibli and I had to fight tooth and nail to get a ticket for that day. But I was so excited to spend at least half the day just doing that and then going to the Team Lab Planets, which was a very nice, immersive, interactive experience. Another cool thing about EF Ultimate Break is that they offer optional excursions which you can pay extra for in your trip package. Those optional excursions are usually scheduled on the free day, but again, you don't have to pay for it if you're not interested. An example of this is when I was in Greece, we had a cliffside wine tasting tour around Santorini, which was so much fun. And I highly recommend that if you are planning to go on the Greece trip. And in Japan, EF offers an optional trip excursion to Nara National Park, which is also really fun because you get to feed the deer, you get to walk around the park, and have, I think, an included lunch there. So if those are your thing, definitely go ahead and sign up for them. I think other tour excursions that I signed up for were the Rome cooking class, which was so much fun. We made pasta and it was absolutely delicious. And the food tour we had around Copenhagen, that was also so much fun. And in addition to the optional excursions that you would be paying extra for through the EF website, there are also secret excursions that your tour director could plan for you that you would pay for when you're actually on your tour. So the cool thing about tour directors is because a lot of them are locals to the countries you're visiting, they know all the secret cool spots to go to that maybe EF doesn't plan for you, but they're still aware that the tour directors can plan extra things. Your tour director will give you a list of these optional excursions that are not through the EF website, and they would be like, hi everybody, I'd like to organize a party cruise boat around Paros in Greece, or I'd like to take you all on a special field trip to Poseidon's temple in the south of Athens. These are things that, again, EF doesn't put together, but they trust your tour director to work with local guides and essentially plan something fun for you also on your free days. And honestly, I would recommend definitely doing them because your tour directors know what's up. When I was in Ireland, if you watched my Ireland series, our tour director Tom planned a cool horse carriage ride around one of the cities we were in the morning. And then we went to this really cool dance performance in the evening in one of the cities as well, which I really enjoyed. I've never been to a Celtic dance before, so getting to sit there and get immersed in the culture was really special for me. One of the questions I get a lot from viewers who have seen my EF tours is the trip pacing. Is it slow? Is it fast? Is it in between? What's been my experience? The truth of the matter is it is really going to depend on which kind of tour you sign up for. If you sign up for a tour that jumps from city to city like Japan, it's going to be a bit more fast-paced than something that maybe just spends 5 days in Tokyo or 5 days in Athens, because you're going to have a lot more free days if you're just spending time in one city. Let's say, for example, you are booking the highlights of Japan tour, right? You are jumping to about 5 or 6 cities while you're in Japan for those 2 weeks. And it's pretty fast paced because you are moving from city to city every few days, and you're doing your walking tours, you're doing the built-in trip things that EF plans for you, and then you have your own free day to kind of relax and take a break. I will say that the reason why trips can feel fast paced is because you are moving in a large group from place to place during the day to hit up as many sites as possible. What I appreciate about EF is they really do try to mix a little bit of the history of the countries that you're visiting, as well as those really cool Instagram and TikTok spots, so you can have great photos and videos to share with your loved ones. For me, for example, I actually do so much research ahead of time, so it's not really EF that's fast-paced, it's the fact that I pack my own free time schedule on top of EF's trips because there's just so many things I want to do. And this includes me waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to do a sunrise photo shoot, doing a really cool evening thing with my friends. Even if you do book a trip that is fast-paced, understand that you do not have to participate in every single activity that's in the itinerary. Let's say you've already been to Rome before. Maybe you want to spend your morning, instead of going to the Colosseum, to visit a friend or visit another area in Rome. That's totally fine. Just let your tour director know what your plan is, and they'll probably even give you recommendations of what you can see and do in the areas that you're going to be visiting separate from the group. Think of it as like your own little Lizzie McGuire movie moment where you kind of deviate from the rest of the group and do your own thing. So think very carefully what kind of trip is right for you. Are you somebody who thrives and actually enjoys the fast-paced experience? Or are you somebody who prefers to just go to one city and spend your time exploring it. The good news is EF has different types of tours available depending if you're the type of person that wants to spend 5 days in Tokyo of just exploring that, or if you're somebody who wants to explore the rest of Japan for a 2-week duration. So now that we've talked about the type of itineraries that are being offered and what's included and not included on the tour, you're probably wondering about the booking process. Well, it's pretty simple. First, you visit efultimatebreak.com and look through the trips and itineraries they have available. Choose the trip that fits your criteria and make sure to book when they're running promotions, as that's the best time to get a bang for your buck, such as the current Black Friday sale. And if you are a first-time traveler with EF, I have a special promotion code for you. Go ahead and use the code that's flashing on your screen now for an extra 100 off your first trip with EF Ultimate Break. You will have to activate it through the link in the description box below, otherwise the code will not work. And the best news is you can actually pair this code with promotions happening on the EF website. So let's say you're currently shopping for the Black Friday sale and you see $800 off. Well, if you use my code as a first-time traveler with EF, you will get an additional $100 off, which means you save $900. Talk about travel math, right? Like, that is so cool. You're saving so much money that you can put all towards your gifts and food and other fun excursion experiences. And for those of you watching this video even after the Black Friday sale ends, I have great news for you too. My code does not expire. It is going to continue until I stop being an ambassador with EF, and I still plan to be an ambassador with them for years to come. Next, you're gonna book your trip and either pay for it upfront or in installments over time. They have interest-free payment plan options for you. The further out your trip is, the longer you have time to pay for the actual trip. Then board your flight, and guess what? That's it. See, I told you it was super easy on how to book a trip. Let's say, for example, you booked a trip, but then something happens in life and you're not able to go at that time. That's okay. You can call EF and you can ask them to book you on another trip, and they'll just credit you whatever it is that you've paid already. You may have to pay the difference. Let's say if maybe the new trip that you are signing up for is a little bit more pricier, then they'll just add the difference to whatever your remaining balance is. But also, as we know, life happens and sometimes you just have to cancel your trip and you can't move it. That's okay too. That's why I actually recommend for everybody to buy trip insurance, because maybe the reason that you are canceling your trip can actually cover you and get you a full refund. So just check the EF website for the guidelines in terms of what counts for a full refund and what doesn't. And you can also speak to an EF representative. They are actually very helpful. So now that we've talked all about how to book your trip and payment plans and everything, you're probably wondering about flights, because flights are also actually a part of your tour package. When booking a trip with EF Ultimate Break, you have the option of either having them book your flights for you, or you can book your flights on your own. If you choose to book flights through EF, that is all already included in your trip package. You will need to select which city or state you're flying out of. They also include transportation to your first hotel from the airport and from your last hotel back to the airport at the end of your trip. When you land in your first destination, you will have to go through security, and then there will be an EF representative at the gate to direct you where to go. In most cases, people do arrive throughout the day, so you may be grouped with a few others to take a cab, or if everyone is arriving around the same time, you will take a coach bus from the airport to your first hotel. It really depends on which country you go to, but your tour director will actually send you all of this arrival information about a week before your tour starts. So just keep an eye out on your email there, and just don't worry, because everything is honestly hassle-free. One thing I will point out about if EF books your flights for you is sometimes you will have a layover. And I've seen people actually have 2 or 3 flights sometimes on an EF tour. But let's say, for example, you are not a fan of having layover flights, or maybe you want to arrive a day or 2 early on your tour, you should go ahead and actually book your own flights. And unfortunately, when you book your own flights, yes, you will not have any transportation to your first hotel from the airport, or from your last hotel back to the airport. As somebody who's done this about 3 times on EF tours, I've had honestly no problems with my transportation. You can either take the subway, you can take a cab, you can take a bus. The tour directors actually can help you arrange transportation through your hotel or even through the EF vendors. While you will have to pay anywhere from like 25 to 50 euros if you're going to Europe, or I don't know how much it is in yen or other countries, just know that it is actually a safe option because your tour director can help arrange it for you, but you will have to pay for it out of pocket because you are arranging your own flights. I actually really like booking my own flights because I don't have to worry about where my seat's gonna be. I don't have to worry about which airline I'm flying with or which airport I'm flying out of, or even when the time of day is for my flight. Regardless if EF is booking your flights or you're booking them on your own, any flights that are in the middle of your tour, let's say if you're doing the Japan and South Korea getaway and you need to have your flight from Japan to South Korea, that will still be included in your trip package whether you are booking flights through EF or not. And that's because the entire group needs to fly from one country to the other as part of the itinerary. So that part is included. The other thing I want to mention here as we're talking about flights are trip extensions. Let's say, for example, you want to arrive early to a country so you can explore it on your own or with your friends, or maybe you want to stay at the end of the tour because you want to do exploring on your own. That's fine too. Just let EF know ahead of time because EF is not responsible for any additional days and nights that are not part of your itinerary. So if you choose to arrive 3 days early to Tokyo before your tour starts, you're kind of on your own in terms of finding a hotel to stay at, which is totally fine actually because you can get good deals on websites like booking.com. I actually went on booking.com before my Japan tour and I booked a room at 2 of the hotels that EF usually partners with. And 30 days before my tour, when I found out which hotel we were going to be staying at, I canceled the other hotel free of charge, and I was able to get ready by already having a booking ahead of time, which was cheaper than if I had to wait until a week before. So just a quick little tip for you in case you're interested in doing something like that. Another question that's now coming up are visas. So yes, some countries that you'll be visiting do require a visa. And in order to understand if you need to sign up for one, all that information is going to be provided to you by EF. They do a very good job of chasing you and reminding you of things you have on your to-do list. And they also offer you a know before you go guide for any trip that you are on with them. The cool thing about booking a flight with EF is that you are guaranteed to have one free checked bag. And I'll be very honest with you, do not bring more than 1 luggage with you on a tour. Why? Because you are going to be responsible for carrying it everywhere you go. And honestly, the less stuff you are carrying with you, the lighter it's going to be for you to travel and enjoy. When I was in Japan, I bought so many gifts for myself and for my family. I've never spent that much money. And I actually ended up getting another small luggage because there was no way I can fit everything into my already overpacked luggage. And if you're interested in hearing more about my wonderful packing experience, you can go ahead and check out my EF Ultimate Break Japan tour review video, which is actually one of the most popular videos on my channel. That video is going to be listed and linked in the description box below as well if you want to check it out. But anyways, let's get back to packing. Let's say, for example, you are going to be bringing a luggage with you and you're wondering, okay, well, what are usual things that I should be packing on an EF tour? Number 1 is an AirTag, because that way you can track wherever your luggage is, especially if you have layover flights with EF. The second thing I recommend is packing cubes, because packing cubes allow you to essentially get the most room in your luggage while still fitting in a lot of things. And the third thing I'm going to recommend is bubble wrap. Why do I say bubble wrap? Because if you're going to be buying anything fragile like Venetian face masks, or maybe you're going to be buying a glass ornament or something, you're going to want to have bubble wrap to really make sure that the item you purchased is safe and sound. Other things I would recommend is just packing a week's worth of clothes and maybe some layers, because you can actually do laundry service in a lot of the hotels that you're staying at. You're going to want a cell phone waterproof case for places like Iceland, because there was so much rain and snow when I went, and especially when we went to the Blue Lagoon, I wanted to be able to take photos in the actual Blue Lagoon water, and so I just had my phone in a special protective case so I can put it underwater and not worry about it getting damaged. And the last thing I highly recommend is bringing a physical copy of your passport with you, as well as a digital copy. When I was in Japan and we stopped by Hiroshima, our hotel actually wanted to keep our passports in the front, to which I was like, I can give you a copy of my passport. And so they actually ended up making copies of everyone's passports so we can keep our passports with us, and they have a copy with them. So the good news is I already had a copy, and I was like, here you go, you can have it. I have several more. And so it actually expedited my check-in experience, and I was able to be one of the first people to go up to my room and relax. So let's chat a little bit about accommodations, because I know this is a topic everyone's very excited to hear. EF offers two types of tours which will actually dictate the type of accommodations you have. First up are essential tours. These are for the budget conscious traveler who is essentially on a budget. They stay in a mix of hotels and boutique hostels. Any of the boutique hostels that you'll be staying at do include a private bathroom, so whomever you're sharing your room with are the only people who have access to that bathroom. And usually these include roommates anywhere from like 2 to 8 people, and usually have like bunk beds, I think, in these boutique hostels. But honestly, you're just going to be in these rooms to essentially sleep and store your items. So if you are a budget conscious traveler, feel free to book an essentials tour. The second type of tour that EF offers are plus tours. These are always going to be at 3 and 4-star hotels, and they're going to be a little bit more luxurious. So personally, I have been on 4 of these tours, all of which you can actually see on my YouTube channel, and I actually do little room tours in each of these cities so you can see exactly the types of hotels you'll be staying at. One other thing I would like to mention is rooming upgrades. On essential tours, you are going to be sharing a room with 2 to 8 people every city you visit. It does vary because some cities are larger than others, but if you're on a plus tour, you will only share a room with one other person, and I believe that type of room is allowed to be co-ed. If you're somebody like me who values a lot of privacy, who needs peace and quiet and just time to recharge from the group, you can actually pay extra for your own room. It is going to be a bit expensive, I am going to put that out right now, but honestly, you are paying for the peace of mind. I have had 0 regrets on any tours that I've been on with EF where I have paid extra for my own room. And I will say, if you do the essentials tour and you book your own room, that's actually a pretty good way to save money, but still having your own space. Because imagine being in a boutique hostel and having your own room. It's actually not a bad deal, and I really enjoyed doing that when I did the Highlights of Scandinavia tour back in 2019. One thing about tours that people are often worried about is who is the tour director. And I'm going to be honest with you, having been on 6 EF tours, I've been pretty lucky with most of my tour directors. In my entire experience, I've only ever had one tour director with EF who I felt was very unsatisfactory, and I think it's just because they were not very organized with time management skills. They never really shared the itinerary ahead of time. So I would say that if you are somebody who maybe is a little bit worried about your tour director or maybe who you're going to get, I would say look up the reviews on the EF website, because the cool thing about this is you can see recurring names. Let's say, for example, you're interested in going to the Greek islands and you saw my YouTube series and you saw Alex, who is our tour director, who was absolutely amazing, and you're like, oh, I want to go with her. You could actually call EF and be like, hey, I'm interested in booking a tour for the Greek islands, but I really want to travel with Alex. Is she running any tours? EF will do everything they can to put you on that particular tour, so long as that tour director already has been scheduled for tours for the next year. Some of them have been doing this for over a decade, and they are very well versed in their cities and countries, because a lot of them are locals, so they actually can get you really good deals on shopping and fun places to visit. You know, I always keep raving about Alex, my tour director from Greece, because she was just so amazing. She pulled every string known to her to make us have the best experience ever in Greece, and I am so forever thankful. So Alex, if you're watching, this is a shout out to you. Thank you for being such an awesome tour director. You really made our trip so fun. The other make it or break it thing I'm going to talk about on tours besides your tour director is going to be the group that you are traveling with. Group dynamics are a pretty interesting thing because you know that you're going to be on a group with 18 to 35-year-olds, but you never really know what the vibe is going to be until you actually start interacting with people in the app. The great news about the app is that it allows you to start talking to people 3 months before your tour actually begins. So you can see the names of the people in your tour, you can start conversations, and I recommend trying to be as active as possible in the app so you can kind of gauge to see the personalities. If you are on a tour where there's like 30 something people, I've learned that on EF tours, 30 is usually the magic number because it's a perfect group quantity to have. My Japan tour had 41 people including me, and I'll be very honest, I hated it. I felt like we were too big of a group. It was like 50% people who were very loud and love to party, and 50% people who were not partying types. So for me personally, in the future, I would not want to travel with a group of 40 other people just because I feel I thrive better in a group of like 30 people. And honestly, that extra 10, 11 people does make a difference. When I was in Ireland, for example, we had 19 people, whereas when I was in Iceland, I think there was like 28 of us, and Greece was 29. So I feel like when you are on the tours with like anywhere from 28 to 30 people, in my opinion, that's been the sweet spot in terms of number, because even though you have people in a wide age range, I do feel like for the most part, people are mature and respectful. The next topic I want to cover is something that I feel isn't really discussed much in other EF tour reviews, and that is safety. I just want to go on the record and say that in the 6 times I have traveled with EF, never have I felt my safety to be compromised. I always felt comfortable in the coach buses we had, every single tourist site that EF took us to, and even walking around at night, I felt pretty safe. But again, like all things, you know, when you're traveling, have a buddy with you. And a tip I'm gonna leave is always take the card from your hotel, like the business card, because you'll always have the address and you can literally give it to the cab driver to take you to your hotel. I've never had anything lost or stolen, thankfully, but as you're traveling, especially to popular countries where maybe pickpocketing is known, I would say keep an eye on your belongings. I've learned to buy little pins that you can pin your pocket shut so nobody can kind of go in there. I actually always lock my backpack, and I don't have anything really expensive in there to begin with. And finally, exercise caution whenever you're traveling, because especially with what's happening in the world, you want to just make sure that you are keeping an eye on your own surroundings, and if you ever see something suspicious, let your tour director know and they'll try to handle it in the best way that they possibly can. You can also call the EF 24/7 emergency hotline and they can help you. So as we get towards the end of the video, you're probably wondering, well, Alex, what are the pros and cons? Can you just give me the TLDR version so I didn't have to watch this whole video? All right, let's do that. Let's jump into the pros and cons. Some of the pros include that you are with people around your age, 18 to 35. And I know that people are gonna say that this is a con, but actually it's not, because even though I've been on these trips before and we've had people literally from 18 to 35 on these tours, I found everybody to be pretty much mature for the most part. You can customize your trip by extending it, so either starting early or ending late. That's always a pretty cool thing. You can book your own single room upgrade by paying an additional fee. You can book your own flights. And if you are a solo traveler, this is perfect because you can make friends with some of the other solo travelers who are on this trip. And the other really cool thing is that EF has amazing itineraries all around the world. EF plans everything for you, so you don't even have to worry about doing any of the planning. There are sales that run all throughout the year, including right now, which is the Black Friday sale, and you can take advantage by using my promo code, which is flashing on your screen, for an extra $100 off your first trip with EF. And yes, you are able to pair it with other Black Friday deals happening right now on their website. So now that we've talked about pros, I know a lot of you are wondering, well, Alex, are there any cons to traveling with EF Ultimate Break? And this is a tell-all video. So yes, there are actually going to be some cons, but I actually have ways that you can address those cons. So let's hop right in. Number one is, yes, the tours are probably going to be a lot more expensive than if you were to book them on your own or with friends. That's because EF is actually planning everything for you. So because it is a service, it is going to actually cost you more money because They are providing you with a tour director, a private coach bus, transportation, and all these other things that you wouldn't be getting if you were booking something on your own. Another con is that EF could cancel a trip if there's very low enrollment, but the good news is they will work with you to reschedule you to another tour. So definitely take advantage if they do cancel it, because you can ask for a specific tour director. You can move it to maybe 1 week or 2 later or before, depending on how popular that trip is. Group dynamics are another big con sometimes, because you may end up on a trip with party people, or you may end up on a trip with people who are very quiet and very introverted. It really is 50-50, and you won't really know until you join the app and see who else is going on the trip with you. If you feel that the trip group is too small or too big or just not your crowd, give EF a call and be like, look, I'm not feeling this group dynamic. Could you please move me to another trip? And they'll do their best to accommodate you there as well. Another con that I've heard about EF for several years is the fact that they put people on multiple layover flights. So that's why I do recommend, if you are somebody who is comfortable flying on your own or arranging your own transportation, go ahead and book your own flights. The age limit is actually 35, so some people who may be dating somebody a little older than them, or having a significant other, or friends or relatives, they may not be able to join this tour because they are outside of the age range for the trip. Not all meals are going to be included in your tour, so usually breakfast is included every single day because your hotels or hostels do offer included breakfasts. You will be having a welcome meal that's covered, so it's a welcome dinner. There's also going to be a farewell dinner included, and if you booked a plus tour, there may be a couple of other free dinners sprinkled in there, but lunches, you're always usually on your own. See, I wasn't lying when I said I'm going to be spilling all the hot piping tea today. I hope that you found this video to be both helpful and insightful, and maybe even convince you to book your first trip with EF Ultimate Break. But again, seriously, no pressure. I know that everybody has different preferences, so do whatever you feel is right for you. If there are any other questions I can help answer that maybe were not covered in this video, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. You can also DM me on Instagram at TravelsByAlex if you have additional longer questions. That's totally fine as well. And if I've helped you so far in this video, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to this channel and clicking the notification bell, so that way you're notified every time a new video is posted here. Thank you again so much for watching, and maybe I'll see you on a future tour with EF Ultimate Break. Take care.